got to certain spots on the line to.
But I'm pretty sure it was worth it because you got 3 million likes.
Oh, I got the prize that I got was free Postmates delivery for a year, and I actually ended up giving it away on the next video.
Oh, you gave it away?
And that one got 1.2 million views also.
Oh, wow. Hey guys, welcome back to Cultivation episode number 10, first video of 2020. If you've been watching us since 2019, I appreciate all your support and love out there. It means a lot. But if you're new to this channel, subscribe on YouTube or on podcast. Today we have Raviv. Oh, Raviv. So he has his own podcast, actually. It's called the Spreading Success Podcast. It's actually the top 100 podcast on the business Apple Podcast, which is phenomenal, man. How do you feel about that?
Feels great. I mean, I've been working towards it for around like 6 or 7 months now, and that was one of the things I wanted when I first started my show, so it feels really good.
So when you were in the top 100, how did you feel? Like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen now? Like,
I mean, I just use it as a tool to get more top level guests. I know a lot of people, when something like that happens, they just use it as like a bragging thing, but I didn't. I just felt very humble. I was like, okay, now I can use this category to then show it to other people and pitch other top level guests and just keep climbing up the ladder.
So what's the reason why you wanted to start a podcast? What are some of the reasons you wanted to do this specifically?
Yeah, I mean, just first getting started, the way I started was through I went to a business event called Breakthrough, and one of the people there was Casey Adams.
Oh, Breakthrough, okay. I know the 18-year-old entrepreneur, what's his name?
Sam Jacobs.
Yeah.
So I tried drop shipping, I tried affiliate marketing, I tried everything, but it wasn't until he was on the stage where he was talking about podcasting, and I knew I wanted to do something with business, but also something like with content in a way. And I wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time. I just never knew how I could do it because I never felt that I was like someone of authority. So I was like, how can I do this? And then he spoke on stage, and he was just telling you, like, he told me, you don't even need to be this billionaire yet. You just interview these people, and that's how you build your own credibility. And when I heard that, and I always had that desire to do some kind of content, I was like, this is perfect. So I spoke to him after he spoke, and he was just telling me, you really don't need to. Like, I could be one of your first guests. I'm supposed to have him on soon. And since then I've just been getting started and just continue to climb.
Because even myself, when I started doing this podcast, I wanted to bring motivation and awareness to the people out there. And also, it's like free networking because you can actually connect with other people out there. And I don't know about you, but I learned so much from all these successful people. So how did you take that?
I mean, when I first started, it was pretty crazy because I was just getting people that I knew from networking events. And it was like a dream come true, really, because there were people that I couldn't even dream of having their phone numbers, and now I'm talking to them and I'm learning so much from them. And really, what a podcast is, it's just a free mentorship call, you know. And a lot of people, they think it's like some crazy game, but I've gotten courses for free. I've gotten like people's phone numbers just because I use the word podcast. It's basically a series of mentorship calls, and you're just putting a name on it. It's like a joke, and that's why, like, once I understood the possibilities, I just fell in love with it even more, and that's really how
your context right now is probably full of entrepreneurs, successful people right now, right? So also, when you started doing this podcast, was there a lot of feedback on you? A lot of fans, family, or how did you take the feedback? People talk about your first podcast.
So my first episode, it was garbage, guys.
Garbage? I feel you.
It was terrible. Just looking back, I was using, I think, like one of my gaming headsets, and like it was in my bed, and it was all messy, and it was just like, looking back compared to now, I have the studio downstairs. It's crazy how far I've come in such a short time. But
wait, how long you been doing podcasts for?
For around 10 months now.
Oh wow, almost.
It's gonna be a year in March. So it's been insane so far. And it's just looking back at that first episode, it's just everyone just laughs at it. But in the beginning, my parents, my family, they didn't really understand podcasting because I wasn't able to monetize it, and that's what a lot of people our age are thinking. Oh, you're wasting your time, you're not making any money. But I was becoming a millionaire in relationship capital, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. That's like, because think about it, $20 can only last you so long, you know. But if you have someone's phone number, that can be potential business deals for a lifetime. You know, you can go to free networking events. So it's just a lot more for long term. I was playing the long term game.
I don't know if you heard about this quote, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So the more connections you have, the better, you'll be opportunities out there in life.
Yeah, exactly.
So even, I know you're very young, like even myself, people were very surprised when I first started my podcast too, especially your age, because people out there, doing different stuff compared to, doing businesses. So what are you thinking about the young people right now? Like, what do you think of today's society and young people?
Yeah, I mean, young people are on the rise. Like, we're getting mature so early, and we're learning because it's so easy to get access to knowledge. So we're climbing the charts, and we're really putting these big guys to the test. And I'm really glad that we're kind of the rise of the young, which is Casey Adams' podcast name. Really describes what's happening right now.
Yeah. So I know you interviewed David Meltzer, John Danes, and John Whiten.
Yeah.
So wow, man, that's pretty. I mean, for me, that's even like something big for you. I mean, so what did you learn from all these successful people that you've done?
I learned the first thing. Well, in terms of the podcast itself, I definitely learned about handling fear. Because with my first few episodes, I would even like cancel on them, like even though I was ready, just because I was like, I'm gonna mess up, my mic's gonna die, my internet's gonna glitch out.
You just called it off. You don't want to do it anymore?
I was there. I was at the computer, like everything was connected, plugged in, internet was perfect, and I was like, hey, like I had to go like help my mom with something, or I had to go like finish this test exam. So just because I was scared, and the time that I completely finished that was when I had David Meltzer on. He gave me exactly 20 minutes, and that was the most like intense thing. And after that, everything else is calm. So
did you cancel on him too, or you just
no. Him, no.
No, right? You can't cancel.
It was only my first like 4 or 5.
First 4, okay.
That I was like, I can't do this. Like I was so scared because I've seen a lot of people like mess up and stuff, but then I realized that messing up is just part of the game. And when I actually listen to podcasts, I kind of look for people to mess up sometimes, because it shows that they're just not reading off a paper, that they're reading and they're talking about what's on their mind, and it's like speaks from the heart. So that's kind of what I look for as well.
So who do you look up to? You're doing all these business connection contests out there. Who do you look up to?
So for sure, Gary V.
Gary V,
guys,
man,
I don't know if you can see, but I have the shoes. So him for sure. A lot of people that I have had on as well have played a really big part. But him, Andy Frisella, I'm not sure if you know who that is, with the MFCEO project. He's the top business podcast in the world. He's definitely been one of them. My business partner, Apple Creator, he's definitely been a huge help in my recent growing and matureness and success. So those are a few people.
So you have this brand coming up, right? So how do you connect with the audience, or how do you build up relationship with the people that follow up to you? Yeah,
so I have a few different social platforms. So obviously I have my podcast, and I have a podcast editing agency. So that's where that comes in as well. So everything kind of links up. The podcast helps me build credibility for the agency, and the agency helps me build credibility for the podcast. So the main way that I'm connecting with these people is through the Facebook group. I have a Facebook group of over 1,300 podcasters specifically.
Oh, wow.
And we're giving them daily advice, just building a community around it. And that's helping us build a brand of not only Podbleed, which is the editing agency, but also my own podcast, because people are listening, because I'm the co-founder. So he's got to have a good podcast if he's repping something like this. So that's really how I've been able to connect.
So what are some of the ways you connect with what are some of the ways you produce content out there on social media?
So I don't really post on Instagram anymore, because it's, in my opinion, it's kind of like dying out. So I'm posting on TikTok a lot. I know we talked about it before this interview.
This video went viral. How many views? 3 point.
Right now it's at 22 million views. But it's been crazy. And it only happened like a few days ago, so I don't know when this goes live. But I just started learning and studying the algorithm, the hashtags, and it just clicked for me. But TikTok is kind of like something I do for fun, and it just kind of just for people to see like another side of me other than business. It's like kind of like the goofy
personal
side.
Brand, who you really are.
Yeah, like the goofy side of me, because I'm obviously still 19, so I have like both sides to it. So that's really the main way. And then also, just like you, I'm putting content out on YouTube. So whenever I do the video conferences over a Zoom call, I record that and just add the thumbnail, a lot of visuals, and that's where it goes as well.
So what do you see, like right now, like you say you post videos on YouTube, right? At first, were you scared of posting content when you first started doing these businesses content? Would you like a little like unsure on what to post?
I mean, I don't really post any content other than the actual interviews.
Oh, okay.
So I don't do a lot of like self content. I was going to, but I just realized like I'd rather invest that time into showing them like the TikTok side of things, because that's like shows like the personal side.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just be like serious all the time. You know, I am still young. I want to like give people a taste of who I am and on both sides. So
live the young life at least.
Yeah, for both sides.
Also, man. So what do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? You know, you have a podcast. You have many people looking up to you. You're top 100 in the podcast of an Apple podcast in the business. What do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
I mean, I'm still gonna continue the podcast. Obviously, I don't care if I have 1 subscriber or 100 million or 0 downloads. It's really about the opportunities. And for a lot of people, they don't really understand the concept of podcasting. But podcasting is like a very selfish thing. Like, I podcast because I want to know a question, or I want to learn something new about someone. My first few interviews, I would literally read off a script. What questions do I think people are gonna want to know the answers to? But then you realize that all those answers are already on their YouTube channel, their Instagram. So you want to ask questions that you're genuinely curious about, because that brings something else. It brings out the golden nuggets, and you also get asked questions that you genuinely want answers to, not what you think is gonna pop or the algorithm.
I feel like very exclusive or very unique questions, because if you can find the same question on other videos, it's a basic interview.
And it comes from the heart, really, because a question that I like to ask that I came up with is, give me like a day in the life of like, what do you do every day? Like, I know you're so busy with the podcast business, like what do you do? Like, what time do you wake up? Because that's just stuff like I'm curious about, like when I want to plan my day, when I want to create good habits.
So what do you do? You know, you're still in school, you're doing all this stuff, so what do you normally do?
Yeah, so
because I know you're still young.
Right now I'm going to school 3 times a week.
Oh wow.
So I kind of fit my schedule, but it is packed during those days. Then after, I'm usually working on the company, whether that be outreach or just communicating with the editing team. And then now, obviously, posting a lot more TikToks. I want to post every day on there. Just keep gaining traction. But that's.
What do you advise the people who want to start their own podcast? You know, what are some of the tips that they should be aware of before they actually start one, or something that they're already on the podcast? What do you advise?
I think the first thing to do is to go to anchor.fm and just sign up. Like, whatever you guys do, right after you're done listening to this, just X this out and go to anchor.fm. It's completely free. It's very easy to sign up, and this was something that I struggled with, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have $1,000 equipment and lighting like we have right now, and I was like, I'm gonna look like such an idiot. But imperfect action is better than no action, and that's what I've learned. So just get started. Go to anchor.fm and just create your cover art. Hire an editor, Podblade if you guys want. It's affordable, but even without us, it's crazy, because I used to spend 3 to 4 hours editing my show, because I would create social media content. I know you guys do that as well. YouTube, and then the audio, and I was not an audio editor myself, so
you had to do everything at first for yourself.
Had to do everything, and then I was hearing about people doing other people's editing. I'm like, I need this. I don't care how much it is. I need to do it. And then a good friend of mine actually offered his worker that was working for him, and I was like, please, like, help me out. And he gave me like a good deal, and then we're like, wait, we can actually turn this into a company. So now we offer all-in-one editing, so audio, video, and a social media content for only $20 an episode.
Oh, yeah, that's very affordable,
Yeah, so that's really what it is, and the crazy part is that I don't know where my podcast would be if it wasn't for a service like this. I don't think I would have been able to keep up with the demand, and I've seen so many people, friends of mine that got started when I did, and then just fell off because they couldn't compete. They thought they didn't have professional enough content, and so we really want to like even out the playing field with the YouTube animations, the thumbnails, the audiogram content, to show them that it is possible, and you don't have to break the bank to do it.
Because even the little things is very important, like on YouTube, the thumbnail, all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's why we make that as well.
Because I remember when I first started in the podcast, I was spending like hours on YouTube, how to do this, how to do that, and now I feel like once you get used to it, you get better at what you're doing, you know. So when you first started it, did you have haters coming in the way, or how did you deal with the haters out there, you know?
I mean, I didn't really have haters. I just had people that thought I was wasting my time.
Oh, wasting your time,
in a way, especially kids my age They don't really see the long, big term, the big picture. So that was really like the main thing. I didn't have anyone hating on me, so to speak, until a few days ago when I started my TikTok, and then that's when like a lot of these like 12-year-old people they just
started hating on you.
They find every way to hate. But what I did was I took that attention from TikTok and I took it directly to YouTube. So I had only like 100 subscribers. I wasn't really posting as much on YouTube. And then I said, because people wanted to know what was in the gumball, so I said I'll give you guys a hint once my YouTube gets to 3,000 subscribers.
Oh wow!
And I only had 100. So I got to like 1.3K, and now I can monetize it just because of one trick that I used to like get that traffic while it was hot.
That's very crazy though, because I mean, especially now social media, you get a lot of engagement.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I think social media is so powerful right now because even now I literally reach out to you on DM.
Yeah.
You know, like how you couldn't do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I feel like we have to take this opportunity like not for granted. You know? Yeah. So for you, what are some of the routines that you do to have a good day? What are some of the routines that you do?
Well, first of all, the first thing that I recommend both you guys do is take a cold shower in the morning.
Cold shower?
It's the worst thing in the world, but once you do it, you feel so good, and it's like this. You start off your day with a win, and you did something that's hard that most people can't do, and that just gives you such good motivation to continue the day and to continue that pattern of being uncomfortable and growing. And so that's what I recommend. Before I do anything, I go right here, take the cold shower, and I put on this like hype music because it really is a pain. Like I like talk. I'm like, let's go, come on. And by the time I'm done, I'm like red. And it's like I feel proud. And it feels good after. It increases blood flow, increases energy in the morning. So it's very good. And the main thing is like how you feel after. You feel confident. You feel unstoppable. Because if you could do this, nothing else in your day is going to be as hard. Because you're like hyperventilating. You have the fight or flight situation. So yeah, definitely.
Did you get used to it at first? Were you an athlete? Because I was an athlete. So when I take cold showers, I got used to it.
Yeah. So I mean, I played soccer in like middle school and high school, but I never took cold showers. I was always like, I want to be comfortable after a game. I always took a hot shower. I always relaxed after. But then I was like, you know what? 2020, I'm done being this like person who just always wants comfort, because that's not where you grow. Like I've grown so much in 2019. It's time to take it a step further. So. The cold shower, as well as meditation, daily journaling, visualization, because it's crazy how right before I hit almost 400,000 followers, it's crazy just saying that 400,000.
You probably woke up, you were like, what? What's going on?
Yeah, it was. Had people calling me, texting me. It was crazy, but.
Wow. But do you have a team right now or no?
A team in terms
a business team, just like for your personal brand or people that help you out.
No, the only team I have is for the editing team for Podplay, but I handle most of the things myself, which even,
that could be tiring too.
Yeah, I probably should get on that. But it's crazy, but so everything really came together with that TikTok, and then I was like, all right, I'm done being this like little scared person. It's time to grow. So that's really where it all kind of came together.
So what are some of your 2020 goals right now that new year? What are some of the things that you're hungry for?
Yeah, so I wrote something like in visualization where I just write things down and then I close my eyes. The picture is I wanted to hit 1 million followers on TikTok before the end of 2019. And it's funny because I wrote that a week ago, and I had 3,000 followers, and I wrote that. I'm like, I'm gonna hit 1 million followers. I'm gonna hit 1 million followers, and then I get 400,000 in one day, and I'm like, the power of visual. I just said that like as, you know what, let me just throw it in the air, and now I'm more than a third of the way there in only the first 15 days of 2020. So it's just crazy, the power of this visualization. Just speak it into the universe. Even if you don't believe it, just close your eyes and just imagine it, and it's worked wonders.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
So how did you gain that many followers in one day? Were you putting contests or viral content, or how did you get that?
So it was only one video that I posted, and it just completely, it went viral. It got like within the first like 30 minutes, like 200,000 views, and just think about that. Like it got 22 million views as of now. It's still growing, but that's double the population of New York City.
Oh wow!
Saw my post. So that's like, it's crazy.
Wait. So what video was it? That wasn't the gumball, was it?
It was the gumball.
So it went viral on TikTok and on YouTube.
No, it didn't go viral on YouTube, but a few people said they also saw it on Twitter too. A lot of my friends called me. A lot of old friends, when you win, they want to say what's up.
Remember me?
So that always happened, and then a few people were like hating me and like, come on, like you're wasting my time. Let's find out what's inside. So I kind of like led people in the loop, and that's why I got such a high percentage of following ratio that wanted to wait and see what was gonna happen.
Damn. So how do you when you have a business, right? What are some of the ways to build up clients or customers or even an audience, someone that look up that can follow up to you?
Yeah, so the group from Facebook is one of the main ways that we're using right now, because it builds a community and it builds the brand identity, and it also builds your personal brand, because I want to provide value from the point of a top 100 podcaster, but also as a business owner who understands podcasts. And the whole thing about the editing agency is we want to give the podcasters everything they need to grow and none of what they don't, because there are a lot of editing agencies out there that'll charge you like $1,000 a month, and they'll give you like all these like nitpicky little detailed audio that people can't even tell the difference. But they're not podcasters, so they don't know. Yeah, you should probably upload your content on YouTube. Hey, you should probably make a social media audiogram. And so they're like pitching them on all these minor details that no one cares about. And that's why it's like made by podcasters for podcasters. So like we know exactly what you need, and we're not going to give you anything that you don't and waste your time.
It makes it much easier for the user.
Yeah, and for me, I'm also obviously a client of my own service, so I know exactly what's good.
Yeah. So you use what else? Facebook community. What else do you use?
So I use Facebook. That's like the main way, and then I have Instagram. Like I said, I'm not very active. I used to be more active.
Low key, I feel like the engagement's going very, very well.
Yeah, it is.
I remember when I used to post stuff on Instagram, I would get a lot of views. Now it's just very, very low.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to turn my attention to TikTok. And if you guys don't have, I definitely recommend.
No, I have TikTok. I post TikTok too. Yeah. I think mine went viral, but not as viral as yours. Mine went like a good 3,000 likes.
That's good.
I mean, it's something, but it's not competitive.
I mean, that was me like a week ago. And the thing that I tell a lot of my friends that want to get started is all it takes is one. Yeah. All you need is one video, and it could change literally your life. I know it sounds like cliche, but now I have 400,000 people following me. Now I have a foundation to build off of, and like even if your first 100 videos don't go viral, all you need is one, and everything else will be forgotten.
Like I mentioned before on one of my videos on podcast, I feel like you always want content away from being viral. You always want content away from being viral, so why not just take a chance and put it up there? You know?
And that's what I did. And originally I was like, hey, this is like a cool idea. Like I think I saw it somewhere, but I wasn't sure. I was like, why not? And I was waiting 2 hours in line to get it anyway, so I was like planning everything out. I was like, hey, like it looks pretty cool.
Wait, you wanted to make a video? You were like, fuck it, I'm just going there.
So I was waiting for 2 hours in line to get this gumball, and while I was waiting, I was obviously posting every day on TikTok, and I needed a new idea because I want to post consistently.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking, I was like, hey, I could use like a viral trend, use some hashtags that I know work, and I can just film it. I'm like, okay, so I was thinking about it while I was waiting. The first shot is gonna be me just showing what the gumball machine needs to get people attention, like catch their attention. It's just like this big machine that says Google on it. Like, what is this? I've never seen it. And the second one, I was like, then I'll like hold. They give you like a big coin, like you put it in. It's like a cool machine.
For free, right? Just like that.
So I was like, let me like show what the coin looks like, because people have never seen that either. And let me put it in. So like another animation, and then them opening it, and then. So I planned it out. I had 2 hours. I was like, why not? But I didn't expect it to be anywhere like this.
So what were you doing? Just walking around 2 hours on your phone, just waiting?
No, it was literally just like a line. I was just like waiting. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna take it from this song. It didn't take me 2 hours to plan it out, but I had to wait till I got to certain spots on the line to.
But I'm pretty sure it was worth it because you got 3 million likes.
Oh, I mean, I got the prize that I got was free Postmates delivery for a year, and I actually ended up giving it away. On the next video.
Oh, you gave it away?
And that one got 1.2 million views also.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I gave it away, but I don't even care about that even. like I was waiting online. I'm like, wow, like I didn't even know that it was gonna go viral. But I'm like, even if I get something stupid, like just the fact that I have this video, it's like a win-win either way.
So what was in the gumball?
It was literally, I opened it, and it was a card. For Postmates, it said free delivery for a year, and it was just like a code in the back.
Free delivery for a year?
Delivery fee, so you don't have to pay the fee.
Oh, fee, okay.
But I mean, still, for unlimited for a year, it's still pretty
phenomenal,
good. So I gave it away on another post, and that one also did pretty well. So now I'm just like using the ball, and I'm doing like funny things with it, just like build the brand. And I'll be the Google ball guy, build the foundation, and then And then after that, like for example, Gary Vee has shoes.
Yeah.
If I start by building an audience around something and then people like me for me, then I can talk about anything I want and people will listen. So it's just about building.
So you're trying to build up a story within your own brand.
Yeah, and I mean it's also like I was not expecting this because if this one did badly, I would have just continued to post like my entrepreneurship podcast. I was posting podcasts.
What kind of content do you post? Like motivational or just like what do you do?
No, well, not anymore because I privated all those videos because I want to center my brand around this whole gumball now. But it used to be like how to upload your podcast on iTunes, why you should start a podcast, best podcast for motivation. Like I would just make those kind of things and then incorporate like TikTok text and like funny music and that's what I was really doing. But it took a crazy turn.
Crazy, yeah. So you said you look up to Gary Vee, right? Right? So why do you look up to Gary Vee for? What's the reason?
He's one of the first people that I saw online. He's you know the Monday video, and I don't know if you guys seen it.
Yeah.
Like you could have been a bus or a tree.
I know it was a video where he's like you could have been a bus. It's 1 to 400 trillion.
Yeah, so I saw that. Yeah. And my dad is an entrepreneur, but I didn't really know that it was possible. I didn't believe it was possible until I saw him and all of his words of wisdom that he keeps like spitting every single day. Yeah. And so he was one of the first people that showed me it was possible. And I knew I always wanted to do something different than everyone else, not in like a better or worse way. I just knew.
Again, you don't want to be the next Gary Vee. Like that's kind of boring. Like, you gotta be a unique person, you know. Yeah. You said your dad was an entrepreneur, right? Were many of your family members an entrepreneur? Is that the reason why you felt like it was good for you, or just because you know?
I mean, I think I just had it like naturally. Yeah. I think I just always had like a passion for business. When I was younger, I was like, you know, flipping things and trying to win money. And I've searched how to make money online probably 100,000 times. Like I've searched it so many.
And why did you saw the social media you were doing it, or why did you want to make?
So that was before the social media. That was just like me like having. I was just whenever I would think about things like my logic, like even for like a girlfriend or like anything, it's always like in terms of like ROI, return on investment, business. Like that's just the way my brain and like percentages. Like that's just how my brain works. So I think it was like always like wired to work that way. But yeah, I've just been learning a lot about business, and it's just something that I like to do, and it's just natural to me.
So as a kid, you always is that something that you always had in you, or were you a different kid back then compared to right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always wanted to do something with business in a way, whatever it was. I just didn't know it was entrepreneurship, but I knew I was very passionate about making money and about business and just curious about how things worked. I think that's also where the podcast came from. Yeah. But yeah, it's always been like something that had to do with business since I was very young.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where it just hit you in life where you just feel like you don't want to, you just have no motivation to do something, you know, something that stuck with you and you had it was hard to overcome that obstacle?
I mean, I've had like a few. One time I had this podcast episode. I'm not gonna say the person's name specifically. I don't want to like put it
out there.
Yeah. But there's this person. Yeah. And it was the worst podcast episode I've ever done in my life. It was. This person was very dry, and I was like, "Hey, like, what's your name?" With like one word answers, and I tried. Like, I wasn't even.
Was it because you were asking the wrong question, or because you wasn't feeling it, or what happened?
I wasn't. I also wasn't experienced. This was like one of my first 10 episodes, but I knew what I was doing in a sense. So, and I've had people that have asked similar questions, and they answered much better. Yeah. So it was like my fault and the guest's fault as well.
So you had to switch it up, you know, after a while, like the questions?
I mean, no, it just literally only lasted 10 minutes, and my other ones went like 45. And
10 minutes of a podcast, that's kind of bad, right? Because normally you do 20 or 30 minutes long? Or?
Normally I do like 45 to like an hour plus, but I used to do like 30 back then, but then I started becoming more comfortable and it's not as stressful. So now I like to really get deep into it. So I'm learning more. But it was really bad. And that I was like, man, like.
You were just being dry.
I was like, is it like I suck or like why did this happen? And and then I heard from other people that this person was also dry in other podcasts, so it kind of made me feel a little better.
Was he what was he, a famous entrepreneur?
Yeah. So I was like, you know what, it happens, but at the end of the day,
you learn from your mistakes and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean also with the business, there's a lot of things that just happen, and every day, you know, I've made such stupid mistakes, but and I felt like this how could I have done this but I've literally in the past few months since starting the business I've grown like 2 years in 3 months. Like I've learned so much. the way that I think, the way that I have empathy for people, and just learning the systems and how things work. I've just grown like crazy.
So how did you take that? Like you said, after that podcast that was really bad, how did you take that? What was some of the way that you told yourself, fuck this, I'm gonna do something better, or I'm gonna do a better version of myself?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking. I immediately called my friend, and I was like, what just happened? And I was like, this is terrible. And he's like, don't worry, man, like it's okay, just just go to the next one. Like, he gave me like a list of like potential questions I could ask like going forward, because I was like, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't really know much of the format that I was gonna do, but I was just asking like random questions in hopes for like a conversation like this, but it didn't work like that. But
was it one of your first people that you had on your podcast?
It was like one of the first 10. I think it was like 9, or I don't know exactly the number, but yeah, it was one of the first. So I had some experience like with the first few episodes, kind of getting a feel for it, but nothing obviously like now. But it was pretty bad. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, it's one episode, and I wasn't gonna release it at first, but then I was like, I can definitely leverage this person to like hit up even more people, so it was worth it for me to put out. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you learn every day, and even with the podcast and business and life, you know, even without all this entrepreneurship podcast stuff, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and it's really important to just like be grateful, because for example, right after I posted that gumball video, 2 days after, I lost 5,000 followers, because people
on where
on TikTok.
You lost? How did you? What happened?
Because basically people wanted to know what was in the ball, and then they don't care after, so they just unfollow.
They unfollow. Okay.
So you know, the average person sees that and they're like, oh my god, like how did I do this? I can't believe it. But I'm like, I just gained like almost 400,000. I can't complain. Like, I'm not in a place to do that. Like, I'm grateful that I have it. I just gotta use it as a learning lesson. Like, what worked, what didn't, and then just work from there.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you network with other people? What are some of the ways you build connections with all these successful people?
Yes. So the first thing that I do is I go to speaking events. I don't speak myself. Hopefully, I want to start doing that. But I go to events. Breakthrough was the first one. Yeah. And the way that I got podcast guests was just from sending them voice notes after the event. And so I have a touch point. Hey, I saw you at this event, and here's like, I liked what you said about this. I think your energy or your vibe would be really good on my show. Let's make it happen. Like,
you email them, or you just?
I just DM like a voice. DM, and now I sometimes do video, because you want to build a connection. You don't want to send them the same boring thing, because
like text messages.
People like David Meltzer have received so many messages saying, "Come on
believe
my podcast."
It or not, he actually reached out to me back too. I wanted to set up a podcast. He said, "Yeah, set it up." Send the email. So
it's a lot of people are scared to even send that initial message, but
I feel like it's worth trying it. You know.
Yeah.
So you said you voice memo, video through email and Instagram, or just?
No, I really do it. I do it through DM, and then whatever happens, if they tell me to email someone, then I'll email. But mostly just through DM, and I basically went to these events and I messaged the guests, and then I used their name. I'm like, for example, hey, I just had Vova Test on my podcast, and then like, oh hey, like if this guy cares about you and went on your show, then I should probably do it too, and I just kept using other people to keep like climbing up the ladder, and then that's how I got people like David Meltzer, because I was like, hey, I had these 3 people. He's like, hey, I've heard of a few of them. Now let me come on. And then hey, I had David Meltzer on my show to another big person. Then you work from there. Hey, I've had Gary Vee, and now it's open to so many other people.
You build up leverage after a while.
You just like, the most important thing is like leveraging your position and your guests. That's like insanely important. That's why what I do is I have a piece of social media content, and I make it specifically for the guests. I don't make it for myself. I don't post it. I'm like, hey,
you want to bring value to the people out there.
I made you this custom piece of content. It has their face, their picture, their name. They feel all important. I'm like, hey, post this to your channel. And they're like, hey, it looks so cool. You made a nice edit. The audiograms that I make is like the sound waves.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, So then they post it, and one of them got like 20,000 views just by asking. So a lot of people, they just have people as guests and they just forget about it. I like to squeeze every ounce. I also go live with the guests on Instagram. And that gives even more exposure. I went live with David for like 5 minutes on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw one of your content. You went live with him, right?
Yeah. So
what were you guys specifically talking about? Or
it wasn't really anything specific. I just told him, hey, this is what I normally do with my guests. Let's schedule a time. And before the podcast, I would not have been able to go live with David Meltzer. But because I asked, and I just, a lot of people are like, he's going to say no. But you just have to position yourself in a way of authority. I'm like, hey, I typically do this with all of my guests. Let's set up a time. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But then you build a relationship with them, and it's priceless.
So I'm there, The good thing, you're not afraid. You want to take those chances. You're probably very hungry for it.
Yeah.
So when you first started doing it, how many people you reach out to get a first yes?
I mean, the first few people that I was reaching out to were people at the event, so it wasn't that hard to reach out to them. Sometimes I'd get their contact info like at the event itself and tell them, hey, I have this podcast, like check it out. But then after that, it wasn't really, I didn't really have to message that many people. I would just look around, see, hey, this guy's doing something cool. I originally wanted to find people that were the most successful or had the most like drop shipping, e-commerce, but then I was like, I don't care about that, so I don't want to interview people like that. I want to interview people that, like I said again, with the whole selfish thing of a podcast, I want to interview people that are doing something unique that I care about, right? People are talking about all this like stock market investing. Like I could never have someone like that on my podcast, not because they're not successful or credible, because I just don't understand enough, and like I just want to learn more about the things that I want to learn more about. So it's just being picky, and a lot of people don't do that. They just pick people just because they want to have that name. But I slowly realized that that's not the right way to go.
So what about like your audience? Your audience probably all about e-commerce and dropshipping, right? And not.
I mean, my audience is really like just us, like young people who want to learn stories from people who have made it, and it's obviously exclusive content. I'm asking questions that they kind of get used to the foundation that I'm doing. So that's really it in terms of like demographic. They are my age, and they're just hungry to learn, just like me.
I'm hungry too. I think we're all hungry more. So I know you look up to Gary V. Is that one of your goals? You want to interview him in your podcast?
Yeah, so I know we spoke about this earlier. I went to VaynerMedia and I did an interview there, and I went in his office, I sat in his chair.
How's the office? Good?
Oh man, and the cool thing is, it's awesome. And when I met him, I went to one of his like sneaker events, and he was doing like a meet and greet, and I waited in line for like 4 hours like outside just to meet him, because like it's like
your legs probably got tired of standing up.
Yeah, I mean, he was like my number one guy, so I had to like do anything. I went to the city just for that, and I went there and I gave him this like little banner, because he started following soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. So he followed Tottenham, and I'm a big Tottenham fan.
Tottenham fan?
Yeah.
Now you just like Barcelona or now?
I mean, I used to like Barca, but now I'm just a Tottenham fan. That's just like who I follow, but.
They made it to the UCL final this year.
Yeah, I know, it's been crazy, but so he posted an Instagram story or like a post with a Spurs shirt. Someone made it for him, and I'm like, there's no way he likes the same, because I liked it before he did, like 2 years before. And I'm like, so he's Gary V and he likes my favorite style, like it's like meant to be, you know? So I gave him, I had a poster. I was like, hey, like let me give it to him. He doesn't have any like Tottenham stuff in his office. Like I want him to be like an official fan, you know? Let's get him started, like the Jets, something like that. So I gave him this banner I had in my room. I signed it in the back, and then I gave it to him, and I was like, hey, put it right here. I made it very easy. Here's where you're gonna put it. I made it like very. I was like, there's no excuses. Here it is. I found a perfect place. You don't have to like figure out. Here it is. And he's like, that's awesome, man. Like that's a good idea. And then he put it in his office, and I told myself the day before I even met him, I was like, one day I'll be in this office with him. And I felt like a part of me was in his office. You know, like it had my name on it. It was there. And it was really special when I got to go do that interview. It was actually, I went there another time before that, and just seeing that in his office and touching it and being like, wow, and I took a picture with it.
This actually what happened.
It's like envisioning it, and it finally happened. So it was just crazy.
He still has it in his office?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he still has it like almost like a year and a half ago. He has it like in the bottom corner, and I see it sometimes in his videos that he does.
It's like, oh shit, that's mine.
And that was like one of the main reasons I was like so hyped to get there, because I visualized it. Like I saw myself in that office, and when I did the podcast interview, he was actually there. So he was busy, but he just said like, "What's up, guys?" and he walked away. But just like seeing that poster there, when he was like, he actually interviewed David Meltzer when I was there at VaynerMedia.
I think he posted it yesterday. His interview with him on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it, but
he's done like a lot. David came out with a new book too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was really a dream come true, and it just shows the power of just throwing something out in the universe, and just put it out there, even if you don't 100% believe it. Just write it down, say it, and then close your eyes and just picture it, and you'd be surprised, because I didn't expect to gain 400,000 followers in a day after writing that I would hit 1 million followers on TikTok last week.
Imagine a year from now, we're probably gonna get a lot more followers.
And I mean, it's all about like visualization, and it's really the key. Like I would say, hey, I'm gonna get a good grade on this test, like, and I wasn't ready for it. I write it down. I will get an A. I will get an A, and then I say it out loud. And then I close my eyes and I see the test paper and I see an A on the top, and you just turn into a different person, and you turn into that person that gets that A. So that's really what I've learned in terms of visualization.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So when you said that. So when you met up with Gary, was there any specific question that you asked him, or?
I didn't ask him any questions. But, that was before I was doing literally anything. I don't think I was even drop shipping at that time. And so I was like, anything about an 18-year-old, he's already has on his social medias. He posts like 100 times a day, this guy. So any questions I could possibly have, unless it was specific to me, he would already have. And I didn't really have any questions because I really wasn't doing anything. I knew what I needed to do. I needed to start. Like there was no questions. So I didn't really ask him much. I was just like, hey, huge fan, been following up with you. And then I just showed him the poster. He signed my shoes, took a picture, and then
crazy, man. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it before, but it wasn't an event. It was kind of far away, but even when I saw him live speaking, man, it gives me like goosebumps, man. It gets me hyped up. Like, damn, I want to do this right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's really a very inspirational guy, and for me, he's just been one of the first people that I've like looked up to in that way. So it's just that's why I just had to meet him. So I waited outside. I networked with some people too. So he made some people. They signed their business plans. He wanted to sign for them, sign the shoes, and so he hasn't done a meetup like that basically ever aside from that because he just came out with the shoes. So I'm glad I was able to do that. I got my picture. Now people see me there and they see me at VaynerMedia. I have that podcast out too. So hopefully I'll get him on.
Good things coming up. So you said some other way you connect with the audience, you go on live, other people, right? What are some other way that you've done before?
So going on live, is one of the main ways. But really networking is through those events and the podcast. Like I've for example, there's this person who does like personal finance and credit, and I've kind of been watching him on and off for like a few months. I'm like, wait, I have a podcast now. So I just reached out to him and I got him on my show. It's like you can talk to anyone. It's just like a tool. It's literally like a branded collection of mentorship calls. It's like people don't even realize that. They think it's so much more complicated, but that's really what made me more passionate about it, because like podcasting is a different creature. Like once you understand like how to leverage and position yourself, like I said, I've gotten courses for free and I'm like, wait, I feel like I'm cheating. I'm like, how is that even fair? Like a course for a podcast? But then you realize like the value that you are providing, because you're letting them share their story on the platform, and that's really valuable.
It's like I feel like it's a free courses because you're learning from all these successful people, man.
It's free.
It's free. That's what I've been telling people. It's free. You can learn from all these people.
It's free. My setup cost me around $200, and I know someone who has a very successful podcast, and he only does it with his phone.
Wow.
Like no lighting, just puts it on a stand, and that's it. So
no microphones either? Or what?
No. So if anyone has any excuses of I can't do this podcast, I don't have the money, I'm broke, it doesn't matter. You just make a cover art. Like I said, go to anchor.fm and just get started. There's nothing there's no time to waste, and soon enough when podcasting becomes oversaturated, it's going to be a lot harder for people to get these David Meltzers, Gary V's on, because so many more people are going to ask them. So the only way to
start right now
is to get that first mover advantage and have those names under your belt, so you can have a more professional podcast and have the ability to reach out to more people.
100%, man. So what do you want to give motivation people? What do you want to advise to the young people out there? Maybe that are around your age or maybe 2 years older than you?
It's just patience. That's like patience and gratitude. Those two things are and discipline. Patience, gratitude, and discipline are like the number one things for me. Discipline, it's all about just doing what you're going to say you're going to do. And I know this sounds very basic, but even the cold shower, I woke up today and I was like, I really don't want to take this cold shower today. And I really don't want to work and I really don't want to do all this stuff. But
you got to be comfort zone in the first thing of the day.
That's what you got to do, And then patience, the first like 30 or 40 TikTok videos that I posted did not do well. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to post this every day. And then a lot of people call me lucky, but they didn't see the first 30 videos that I posted that didn't do well, because I was just, I'll be patient, I'll post it and just keep putting out good content, and hopefully it'll come, and it eventually did. And then gratitude, just realizing where you came from and just being appreciative of the growth that you've had so far, and not always being so down on yourself, but just being grateful for everything you have around you, your situation, because people do have it much worse than you, and
be grateful for what you have on front
yeah,
of your face.
Like even what Gary says, it sounds like cliche, but we're alive right now. We can talk. You know, people
we're doing this.
People can't see.
Yeah.
You know, people don't have houses, and we're able to share this value for these listeners and the viewers right now. It's amazing that we even have this opportunity to connect.
I agree, man. I agree. So, is there anything we should be aware of for you or your podcast? I know you have a Sponge Success podcast. Is there anything we should be aware of for the people out there, or?
Yeah. So, for any of you guys that do end up starting a podcast, which I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, a doctor, a dentist, it doesn't matter what it is, or if you like Pokemon cards, it doesn't matter. Just start a podcast and talk about what you're passionate about. And I recommend the first thing right off the bat to hire an editor. It doesn't have to be me. But anyone, just to give that kind of work off of your plate, that's like the number one thing I'd say in terms of like a podcast, and the motivation that I would give and stuff like that is just to start. Start the podcast, and like I said, imperfect action is better than no action. You could even I don't know, I could send you like the first episode I've ever done, and then you can compare it to like this episode or one downstairs in the studio, and like it's literally like something to laugh at. I was wearing these big bulky blue headphones with like the mic like over here.
With the mic from the game.
It's over there, and my bed wasn't made. It was messy. Like they could see my clothes in my closet. My room was a mess, and I was like, I was like, oh, I got this.
You got it. And then the minute you say something, it hits you, right?
Yeah, and I felt so confident too. I was like, wow, like look at me. I got this whole setup. I got a computer. Come on. And then I started investing in some lighting and some microphones, and it's even so my setup is like only around $200, and
it's pretty affordable
compared to other business ideas, and they cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and this is $200, and you become a millionaire in relationship capital. That's like the number one.
Build up capital and networking at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, I am monetizing through things like affiliate marketing, and things like that. Yeah.
Is there anything we should be aware of for you? Like anything upcoming in the next few months or next few days?
Just more content for the podcast, more content on TikTok. Just
follow him right now.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your account?
It's just Raviv, my first and last name on basically every platform. Just continuing. I'm also starting a blog for Podblade, which is a podcast editing agency. So that's also a lot of work. But and then I have school, and then I have to have friends, some kind of social life, something, 5% of what I do, I have to have something there, but so that's really what I do, and that's really what's coming up for me.
Awesome, man. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. This is what I normally do on my podcast.
Sure.
The first question: waffles or pancakes?
Someone asked me this on my TikTok live yesterday, and I said if it's plain, then waffles. But if it has like chocolate chips, then it's pancakes.
Pancakes?
Yeah, that's
that's number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you rather fight a bear or would you rather fight a shark?
Probably a bear because.
Wait, hold on, my fault. Not a shark. A kangaroo, my fault. I don't know why I said kangaroo or a shark. A bear.
Probably a kangaroo.
A kangaroo?
Because it's like a little smaller and kind of like similar size to me, but bear, that's just like a beast attack. I mean, kangaroos, don't get me wrong, but
they'll
like
knock you out with one punch.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I think like they're closer to my size. I mean, I would rather fight none of them, but if there were like two here and I had to choose, then
if you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, anything for the rest of your life, every day.
Probably would have to be something healthy.
Something healthy? Just a salad, maybe a chicken salad.
I don't even know. Like that's like I would get bored of it after like the first day. Maybe like some kind of like pasta or something. So I have like still like filling, but like not like. Definitely not like a cheese. Maybe like just like pasta with like tomato sauce, something basic.
And bread too?
Yeah.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate that you've been on my show.
Thank you.
It means a lot. Guys, stay tuned for more. Subscribe on podcast and on YouTube. We'll be having more. Thank you, man.
No problem.